electoral votes, but the candidates just can't seem to stay away from here. Scott Pelley explains why.
And I've come to St. Louis today not...
The new battle cry of this election could be, "Meet me in St. Louis." Missouri is now a favorite stumping ground because when it comes to picking a president, this state almost never gets it wrong.
It has predicted very accurately who will win every single presidential election since 1904, except 1956 when it went for Adlai Stevenson.
This year, Missouri's front porch political debate is being listened to by politicians all across the country because perhaps more than any other state, Missouri politics is a mirror on the nation.
Let's hear from Bill Webster, the next governor.
Just look at the governor's race. Bill Webster is a Bush mold Republican. As Missouri Attorney General, he argued before the Supreme Court in favor of restrictions on abortion.
There should be safeguards like parental notification, like informed consent. And I don't support the use of state tax dollars to pay for abortions.
I appreciate the fact of being the Democratic nominee for governor.
The Clinton-style Democrat, Mel Carnahan, favors choice.
We've had 12 years of Republican administration at the state level, just as we've had at the national, and they've been of a very similar character, very far right wing and do nothing.
What a wonderful welcome back to the Ozarks.
With 10 visits to Missouri already this year, the candidate's attention seems far out of proportion to the state's few electoral votes. That is until you consider the unique opportunity here. In places like Hannibal, Mark Twain's hometown, the presidential campaigns are polling to find out what's on Missouri's mind. Here, they're talking about the economy, education, and abortion.
When anything is personal as a choice of that nature, I feel that it is of a personal nature that really government should stay out of it.
They've got to be pro-lifer right there on my list. I'm real strong on that. My wife is too.
The opportunity is to test market strategies. If it works in Missouri, it's going to play well nationally.
But in Missouri, many are not happy with either candidate. For now, voters are reserving judgment, saying they just haven't seen enough in the show-me state. Scott Pelley, CBS News, Hannibal, Missouri.
The candidates were out campaigning in other states today. On the Democratic side, Bill Clinton and Al Gore and their wives fanned out, appearing separately at college campuses around the country. They had a single goal: winning the support of young people with a voter registration drive. President Bush took his campaign to New Jersey today, another key state where polls indicate the Bush-Quayle team is running behind Clinton-Gore. But if the campaign is going poorly for the president and Vice President Quayle, Susan Spencer reports you'd never know it to look at President Bush.
The national polls are down, fundraising slow, debates a potential problem. So why, pray tell, is this man smiling?
I think President Bush really believes that he's going to win this election.
Certainly, from props to the trappings of the office, the Bush campaign does all it can to convey the idea that whatever you think today, victory lies ahead.
Thanks a lot. Thumbs up. You got it, lady.
Campaign officials insist their optimism is built on evidence. Forget the national polls, they say. Look at the individual states.
We are beginning to see movement in the state polls, for whatever that's worth, and we can feel it on the ground.
Other polls agree the president's coming up in Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin, though still behind in Florida and Texas, which unfortunately for him should be gimmies, and all of which he needs since New York and California look so bleak.
There's something, you have to admit, a little obtuse about saying that the reason the national polls look bad is because you're so far behind in the two biggest states in the country.
But if still behind, why not agree to debate immediately in any format, just to break through? Forget it. The debate impasse continues, and Bush aides say privately they would rather take the heat than put Governor Clinton on an equal footing with the president now.
I think in this case, though, the public is getting a mild impression that George Bush is dodging and ducking debates, and that works at least marginally for Bill Clinton.
As he smiled his way through another campaign day today, Mr. Bush seemed unworried. The key to winning, the campaign thinks, is to keep casting this election in terms of trust. That means we'll be hearing a lot more about Bill Clinton's draft record.
It is the most clear illustration of what appears to be a predominant character flaw.
Far better from the president's perspective that voters focus on that than, say, the economy. The campaign hopes that over time the draft issue will take its toll, and all these smiles might be for real. Susan Spencer, CBS News, the White House.
Looks like non-candidate Ross Perot will be on the ballot in all 50 states. His organizers say that was assured today when Perot qualified in Arizona. Perot once again is saying he may yet declare himself a candidate again, but only so that he can buy television time, he says, to get what he calls his message out.
The thing I will be doing, if television networks will sell me time, I'm going to be talking about this economy big time, because this determines the world our children will live in. Well, interestingly enough, I'm trapped. They won't sell it to me unless I declare as a candidate. So I may be the first guy in history that had to declare as a candidate so he could buy TV time.
You've been looking...
Official candidate or not, Perot could still be a factor in November, at least according to the polls. But what about those polls? Most of them, most of the time, indicate Clinton may be ahead, but the size of the lead varies, survey to survey, sometimes varies greatly. So how reliable are the polls? And what do they really mean anyway? Mark Phillips has some answers in tonight's Campaign 92 reality check.
It's sometimes difficult to tell who's making the loudest noises in this campaign. The candidates,
Jobs, families, and communities.
I want an America that values families.
How likely is it that you will vote in the 1990?
or the pollsters taking the nation's pulse.
Would you say you will definitely vote?
A lot, some, not much. Approve or disapprove?
Those are all the questions that I have.
Polling is not a new campaign fascination, but there's more of it happening more frequently and by more organizations than ever before. Even the pollsters are wondering.
This has really reached a sort of ridiculous point. Is it helpful to know how the race is going and how people feel? Probably so. Do we need to know as much as we know? Probably not.
Just this past week, another half-dozen new national polls showing a spread ranging from 9 to 15 points.
But an election contest is like a horse race, and the polls are the yardstick to tell everybody where they are, and that's what people want to know, and that's what the polls are telling them.
But the polls also influence the way the voters view the candidates and the way the candidates campaign.
People who are ahead are not supposed to be nasty or negative. People who are behind are given a little more freedom to do that. Too much of politics lives and dies by the polling.
And some reputations live or die by using poll results combined with economic indicators and other factors to try to predict the result.
Win with 51.5% popular vote.
Louis Beck's formula includes something you could call the nesting factor.
As much as we might like to think that people are ready for a change, what voters generally do is return to the nest.
And now it's done.
Yet for Alan Abramowitz, party control of the White House can cost votes.
You get almost 6% less of the vote if you've been in office for 8 years or longer.
So he predicts a Clinton win. Go figure. There are other indicators, hemlines. Democrats are supposed to win when they're up, although the fashion mavens are pushing longer skirts with a revealing slit that may skew the equation. And a good year for Bordeaux is supposed to be good for the Democrats. Well, it's been a bad year for grapes so far in France, but the harvest isn't in yet. So how do you predict the result? Look at the polls, look at the computer models, look at fashion, or do as some surely will, find the answer in the bottom of a wine glass. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Washington.
Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, live tonight from St. Louis. The rest of the day's news, and later, special report, Eye on the Campaign. You will see and hear some of the suburban voters who could well decide this election.
Wilfred Brimley for Quaker Oats.
Every day should start with Quaker Oats. Every day should feel this good. Nothing cold can make you feel the way hot oatmeal could.
I feel real good because I eat real good. These hot whole oats and Quaker Oats are nourishing, pure and powerful.
Every day should feel this good.
With the 93 Chevys coming, it's time to say goodbye 92s. The selection of 92 Chevy trucks is shrinking fast. Now is the time to get closeout prices on the truck of your choice at the low 92 price. Like Chevy S10, tough on the job and size to fit your budget. Or America's best full-size pickup Chevy CK. More horsepower than Ford and the best fuel economy in its class. Two great truck choices that leave our competition in the dark. Goodbye 92s. Hello Chevy value at your Central Iowa Chevy Geo dealer.
Back now live from St. Louis, there is news far beyond this city tonight. In Haiti, a huge explosion leveled a three-story building in downtown Port-au-Prince. At least 15 people were killed, scores injured. The Haitian army says it was an accidental explosion, not a bomb. Now, from around the world, more CBS News. In South Africa, 40,000 people attended a funeral for 28 victims of the Ciskei massacre, killed by black troops as they marched on the black homeland. In France, the final campaigning for Sunday's crucial referendum on European unity. The outcome rated too close to call. Both sides claim the European currency crisis and rising interest rates as issues. In this country, a survey of the drinking habits of college students finds those with low grades drink 3 times as much alcohol as honor students. Students at small colleges are said to drink a bit more than those at larger schools. And in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, Little League officials stripped the Philippine national team of its world championship because most of its players were out of the rules ringers. The title now goes to the runners-up from Long Beach, California. Coming up next here on the CBS Evening News, how refugees from Somalia wound up living in an airport in, of all places, Moscow.
Vittorio! Ciao! You may not be aware that Boboli Italian bread shell is made with fresh mozzarella and Parmesan cheeses, garlic and imported olive oil.
Oh, it fills my heart with joy to see you eat so well.
Mamma, when you add things like chicken and fresh vegetables...
More broccoli, Vittorio.
You have created your own magnificent pizza in just 8 minutes, huh? Crispy outside, soft inside.
Eat, mangia.
Remember, only you can top Boboli.
But don't eat so fast.
Do you really think naphtha can be replaced with a non-flammable solvent?
In 1929, she was the only woman and the only PhD chemist in the physics lab. But over the years, she was responsible for 29 different patents.
Hello, I'm Sylvia Stacer.
Dr. Stacer created a new career path for women and for her company. The same company that leads the nation in patents granted to women over the last decade. We think Dr. Stacer would be pleased.
Dow lets you do great things.
There's a certain itch that's so private, most people will only discuss it with their doctor. Fortunately, now you can get new Anusol HC1 ointment. Over the counter. With the same prescription strength doctors have prescribed most.
Do you get diarrhea too?
Yes, I do get diarrhea. And what I take is Kaopectate. I have no time to be sick. Kaopectate stops the symptoms fast. It gets rid of the diarrhea. Kaopectate works every time.
I compare the environmental movement to a bunch of whacked-out Chicken Littles. The sky is falling, oh, the sky is falling.
And that's just for openers. 60 Minutes, Sunday.
The U.S. military has suspended relief flights to a town in Civil War-ravaged Somalia after an American cargo plane was hit by gunfire. No one was hurt. The U.S. airlift is part of a world effort to try and save millions of starving Somalian refugees. From Moscow, correspondent Anthony Mason has a report on some of the most desperate of those refugees.
In the middle of the Moscow airport, in the corridors of the departure lounge, you'll find them camped out on cardboard boxes all hours of the day and night. Refugees of the civil war in Somalia. With nowhere to go, they've become stranded in Moscow.
3 months. I stay here 3 months.
It's about 9 months or more.
They'd hoped to make their way west via Moscow. Instead, some 75 Somalis got stopped changing planes and have been stuck here ever since. So where are you living now? Just here?
Yeah, this is the place we live, you say. This is our,
This is your home?
Sure, this is our, second home now.
Immigration says their passports and visas are forged, invalid, but the Somalis refuse to go back.
Now,
No, how I can? You know, the situation of Somalia is bad.
This is the situation, a country without a government, a people prey to tribal wars and indiscriminate gunfire and famine. The refugees escaped on Aeroflot flights from Africa before Moscow could check their papers. Russian officials admit that Aeroflot is at fault for accepting the Somali passengers without proper identification. But now that they're here, neither the airport, the airline, nor the foreign ministry seems to know what to do with them. If we let them fly to other countries, say the frustrated officials, they'll just be sent right back here. Meanwhile, 2 women are expecting, and last Thursday, baby Anisa was born in a Moscow hospital. Her mother, 27-year-old Halina Nisli, says she just wants to find a safe place for her family. But for now, no one wants them. And until the UN intervenes, the Russians say, the Somalis are stuck here, and the airport is stuck with the Somalis. Anthony Mason, CBS News, Moscow.
Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, live from St. Louis, the money crunch. Ray Brady will show you how older Americans can turn their homes into a retirement nest egg.
Chrysler has found a new way to develop cars. Instead of designers, engineers, manufacturers, and parts suppliers working separately, they now work as one in something called a platform team.
The result? A totally new automotive architecture called Cab Forward. It'll influence how cars are designed into the next century.
Introducing the Chrysler Concorde, the Dodge Intrepid, and the Eagle Vision. In the car business, you lead, follow, get out of the way.
I'm gonna get changed. Coffee's right there.
Taster's choice.
I'll get it, okay?
Hi.
Do you want the lady of the house?
Well,
she's getting changed. Would you like to come in for some coffee?
savor the sophisticated taste of Taster's Choice.
Who was at the door?
A neighbor. I said you were in the bedroom.
And did you tell him who you are?
He didn't ask. Great coffee.
Red Devil Enamel. You can always count on its durable finish. Harder than ordinary paints, its beauty lasts and lasts. Red Devil Enamel, for the finish of a lifetime.
So, Jim, what are you getting Murphy's baby as a gift?
I'm going with earplugs. Can you imagine being sung to sleep by that voice?
Behind the scenes of Murphy Brown, Monday on CBS This Morning.
Good news if you're looking to buy or refinance a home. The government says the average fixed rate on a 30-year mortgage is holding below 8%. If you already own a home and you're getting on in years, you may be interested in something called a reverse mortgage. Ray Brady tells you all about it in tonight's report on the money crunch, making it in America.
Just take a look at that doll you have.
Catherine and Morton Erickson were feeling like a lot of Americans, squeezed by the cost of living. But Morton's retired, no way to earn more money until he took out a reverse mortgage. Now he gets an extra check every month.
I get a check, $452, and I think it's 56 cents. The 56 cents they could keep, but...
That must come in pretty handy.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen is right. A reverse mortgage is for people 62 years of age and up who don't want to move or sell their homes, but who need cash. It's a loan against your home, with most of these loans guaranteed by the government.
It works this way. The bank lends you money against the value of your house. You then get a lump sum or monthly payment. The bank gets repaid on the loan when you move, sell the house, or die. And if you outlive the loan, the checks keep coming anyway. The bank eats the difference. On a $100,000 home, a monthly check of $307 would go to a 70-year-old person.
It gives you a little more independence, shall I say pride? I don't know what it is, but It's a nice comfort to know if I need it, I have it.
Still, be careful, say some experts.
I think senior citizens should think twice before they jump in a reverse mortgage because you have hefty upfront fees and charges.
In a home valued at $100,000, you could pay out fees of $5,000 or more. For many like the Ericksons, though, the reverse mortgage helps to pay off big medical bills.
It was a great help to us to pay these medical bills because it gave us the extra money that we wouldn't have had.
But if all the money's tapped out of your house, what's left for the children to inherit? The Ericksons' children weren't concerned.
They were very happy for us to do this so that we could have a little extra.
Upon our death, we will owe no man anything.
Because the house they worked so hard to pay off now is working for them. Ray Brady, CBS News, The Money Crunch.
How could this happen? They've taken the secret.
Europeans are upset. The Kellogg's Muesli cereal uses their secret recipe.
This we kept in the family.
After all, they've been guarding this delicious secret forever. Ah, but this luscious blend of sweet fruit, crunchy nuts, and crisp whole grains was destined to become Kellogg's Mueslix.
Angelina, you told?
It wasn't me. I swear.
Kellogg's Mueslix, the European secret for great taste.
V8, it has vegetables in it.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Vegetables in it. I heard that. Here's why I drink it.
Because it's tasty.
I love vegetables.
You hate vegetables.
I like these. They kind of crush it all up, squish together, and you can actually taste the vegetables. You know, your tomatoes,
Spinach, celery,
carrots. It's got vegetables in it?
yes.
V8? V8! You know, when I feel like a vegetable, I drink it. It's zippy kind of thing, a zippy thing.
Everybody needs some money sometime. Everybody
When you need money fast.
Hello, Sue.
Come to Western Union. We send more money to more people in more places than anyone else. Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
1847, Werner Siemens opens his first factory and begins to manufacture the world's most advanced telegraph. That was then. This is now. Today, Siemens has 60 factories all across America, with over 15,000 manufacturing people, turning out an astonishing variety of high-tech electronic and electrical products with quality American industry can count on. Siemens, precision thinking.
It's only a heartburn. I should learn to live with it, right?
You know, frequent heartburn may be a sign of a more serious medical problem. Your doctor has treatment plans that can help.
Frequent heartburn. Isn't it time you talk to your doctor?
The street is Oak Terrace. The town is Webster Groves, Missouri, a small, picturesque suburb just west of St. Louis. When people dream of escaping the crowds and the dangers and the grit of big city life, they dream of a place like Webster Groves. On the surface, this is what living the good life is all about. But don't be fooled by appearances. There's plenty of anxiety and doubt about Washington around here. Talk to enough people and you find that many of them are worried about the economy, business and jobs, uncertain about the future. And that could mean trouble for the Bush Quayle campaign. Places like Webster Groves are usually where Republican presidential candidates win by lopsided margins. Yet, according to the latest CBS News poll, Governor Bill Clinton is leading in the suburbs by about 9 points. We spoke politics with 4 Webster Groves couples. The Casanovas. Judy sells real estate. Bob was a corporate executive who got caught in a leveraged buyout. He's now out of work. The Zapps. Pat's a nurse. Joe teaches learning disabled kids. The Lunacies. Sandy runs a monogram business. Greg's an account executive for a printing firm. And the Windmillers. Rose is a university administrator. Joe's an engineer recently laid off from McDonnell Douglas.
If anybody other than George Bush was running, I would consider somebody, and I am pretty much a Republican for many years, and I did vote for Reagan, but I couldn't vote for Bush.
What's the problem with President Bush?
It just seems like the Republican Party under this administration is very intolerant of other people, minority groups. They're working mothers. They're not they're just intolerant of other classes. They seem to be more interested in supporting the affluent society, and they just don't seem to care about the middle class.
When he referred to 1,000 points of light, that was hopeful and it sounded kinder and gentler, but from what I've seen, until the last 2 or 3 months, the only 1,000 points of light he's referred to or he's taken care of were the ones in the foreign countries.
You tend to like President Bush, I understand.
Yes, sir.
Going to vote for him?
Yes, sir.
Why?
I think President Bush is probably the more qualified of the two candidates.
For 4 years, President Bush has had the opportunity to do things about things that are affecting my generation and the generations to come. He hasn't done anything, and I will not trust my future and my child's future to someone who has done such a poor job for the past 4 years.
I'd still like to see what the Republicans can do. And more, I'd like to see what would happen if Mr. Bush had the backing of a Republican Congress.
I'm hearing who's to blame and who isn't, and I feel very, very strongly that the incumbent is to blame, not just the presidential, but Congress, and I think Washington is out of touch with us.
So when you walk into the voting booth, what are you going to do?
I'm going to vote against the incumbent across the board. I'm sorry to say, simply, as far as the presidential candidates, I'm leaning between Perot and Clinton. I will not vote for President Bush. I voted for Reagan resoundingly, and voted for Bush because I thought Governor Dukakis simply did not fill the bill. I will not be tricked again into voting for President Bush because the Democrats are failing to give me a viable candidate.
There's still a long way to go in the campaign. What do you want to hear the candidates talking about the rest of the way in this campaign?
I'd like somebody to talk about the fact that 2 million more people just slipped below the poverty line, why they think that happened, what they think they can do about it.
What do you want to hear?
The truth. Cut out the platitudes and the fantasy and tell us what needs to be done, and then let's get on with doing it.
And that's Eye on the Campaign for this Friday. Next Friday on this broadcast, insiders from the Bush and Clinton campaign will debate the issues. Then Friday, October 2nd, we'll be reporting again live from another battleground state. Dan Rather for the CBS Evening News. Reporting tonight from Missouri. I'll see you Monday. Good night.
Experience CBS News.
Next on the TV8 News, that confrontation over the closing of Kiowa apparently is over. Sarah Jarvis with late details.
Also tonight, damage to bridges everywhere in Decatur County. Steve Carlin with tonight's flooding update. And a state employee admits, yes, she stole nearly $700,000.
Connie live in Beaverdale and Jeff Johnson live in Ankeny with a football preview. TVA News is next.
For the first time in the Des Moines metropolitan area, a unique level of innovation and tradition has arrived at Crescent Chase Terrace Homes. Designed to blend the best of what used to be with life today, Crescent Chase combines advanced technology and convenience with the best features of an old-fashioned neighborhood. Crescent Chase Terrace Homes, located in Green Meadows West in Johnston. Call Iowa Realty at 224-6200 today and take a look at the future through a door to the past.
50 Plus Lifestyles presents the second annual Central Iowa Retirement Community Open House, Sunday, September 20th from 1 to 4 p.m. Here's your chance to visit 12 of Central Iowa's finest retirement communities. Ask questions and see all they have to offer. Refreshments will be served, and you can register to win a trip to Las Vegas at each location. Be sure to pick up this month's issue of 50 Plus Lifestyles for more information about the second annual Central Iowa Retirement Community Open House this Sunday.
Of all the ways you can furnish your home, one of the most beautiful ways is with Anderson feature windows and patio doors. Elegant designs bring the warmth of tradition, the comfort of nature. Ordinary furnishings create a look. Anderson windows create an experience.
Carroll Lumber Company, Ottumwa, S. Hansen Lumber, Ames, Windows and Doors of Iowa, Des Moines.
You're watching today's TV8. And this is News Now. This is TV8 News at 6.
I'm pleased to say that now the principal has agreed to join us to protect the property owners affected by their expansion.
An apparent flip-flop tonight on that controversy over the closing of Kia Way. Good evening, I'm Kevin Cooney.
I'm Paul Rhodes. The public battle between two Des Moines insurance companies appears to be over. After running all those newspaper and television ads blasting the closing of Kia Way and a so-called secret plan involving Principal Financial Group, American Republic Insurance late today did an about-face, promising to support the expansion and to change its confrontational advertising. TV8's Sarah Jarvis is in the newsroom with details on that story. Sarah, what happened?
Well, Paul, American Republic and the principal called a truce after a face-to-face meeting yesterday, which included a promise that American Republic will not lose its parking lot in the principal expansion plans. Now, the force behind American Republic's beef and all those TV ads, Watson Powell, spoke out late today.
Watson Powell claims he never wanted to stop the expansion of the Principal Financial Group. He says he's upset with what he claims is a hidden agenda of the city to tie the Hillside Neighborhood Development Project and the MTA Park and Ride facility across 6th Avenue to the closing of Kia Way.
But I was concerned about the city's use of condemnation. The fact that the city would use for the purpose of one company the condemning of property. Now the principal has made that not necessary.
There's substantial evidence of a hidden agenda called the Macro Plan, which is...
The Coalition for a Clearer Vision was running these ads on Des Moines TV stations blasting the closing of Kia. But Powell says a meeting with Principal Financial yesterday cleared up a lot of confusion. The principal was not working with the city to tie the Hillside and Park and Ride projects together, and that American Republic's property would not be affected. So this is the ad you'll be seeing on TV now with a much more conciliatory tone.
I'm pleased to say that now the principal has agreed to join us.
In a prepared statement, Principal CEO David Hurd responded to Powell's concerns.
You can rest assured that the Principal Financial Group will do its best to be considerate of the needs of all its neighbors.
Principal claims there was no behind-the-scenes negotiations to get American Republic to change its tune. Powell, on the other hand, says he's glad this controversy appears to be over.
There's been blood in the street. I don't like this. I never have liked it. I don't like to see a fine company like the principal dragged into something like this.
So, Paul, despite today's developments, the public hearing on the closing of Kia will still be held at the Des Moines City Council meeting on Monday night.
Is Powell himself going to be there?
Well, no, he says he had his say on the matter today. He had his say in front of the media. Paul?
Thank you, Sarah.
In other news tonight, first-degree murder charges filed today in the death of a 3-year-old Guthrie County girl. 33-year-old Ricky Wagner is charged with murder, first-degree kidnapping, and sexual abuse in the death of Nicole Daggett. Wagner is the victim's great-uncle. Daggett's body was found in the waters near Lake Panorama late last month. Wagner was then arrested, but not on charges related to Daggett's murder. His car was seized as evidence, and today the murder charges were filed. An eyewitness today testified it was Stephen Taylor who fired that shot that killed Daryl Grady in a Des Moines drive-by shooting last year. Derek Hicks says he was in the front seat of the car from which the shots were fired. Hicks says murder suspect Taylor fired the shots. Other witnesses have told authorities that another man, Lorenzo White, was the gunman. But Hicks today testified that White was not even in the car that night. Defense attorneys claim today's testimony is just part of a conspiracy to protect Lorenzo White, who is allegedly a leader of the Vice Lord's street gang.
A 57-year-old Altoona man will not face charges that he allegedly abused children at his home. Arthur Downs was facing 5 charges relating to alleged sexual contact with minors. Those charges were dropped today by the county attorney's office. Polk County Attorney John Sarcone said the children, who were 4 to 6 years old, gave good information to police, but Sarcone says when they had to testify with Downs present, the children had problems recalling the alleged incidents. Sarcone says the charges were dismissed without prejudice, meaning they could be refiled later, but Sarcone says right now that does not appear likely. A former state employee tonight admits she embezzled almost $700,000 of taxpayers' money. Lisa Leslie appeared before a Polk County judge today, pleading guilty to first-degree theft. Leslie worked for the State Revenue Department and admits funneling tax refund money into bogus accounts. One check alone totaled $113,000. Leslie faces up to 80 years in prison on 8 counts of theft, but the sentence, of course, is expected to be much more lenient than that. TVH's Jeff Greenwood will have more on that story at 10 o'clock tonight.
Governor Terry Branstad today asked President Bush for federal help in rebuilding bridges and roads in 9 south-central Iowa counties that have been ravaged by floodwaters this week. Decatur County is one of the hard-hit counties. As Steve Carlin reports now, it may be a good candidate for the federal help.
Well, it was an old bridge, but it's still important to the farmers who are around here.
To say the least, travel in parts of Decatur County is difficult these days. This week's record floods in south-central Iowa did minor damage to at least 100 of the county's 197 bridges. But it's not the minor damage. Assistant County Engineer